Okay, I give up.
That was pretty quick. So this is actually spinach and rice, papad.
Okay.
We make this in house.
Okay. Zuru zuru.
Zuru zuru. So today we are making one fortuna tartar. We are making a chorizo bazamen and a lychee and coconut hiyashi chuka. Like, you know, one eccentric that is coming out like with the pan and thinking, oh, look at that, and it flips onto your plate. He writes range and raman, never ramen, and I correct him every day, and he's just like raman every day. What does it mean? Suduk suduk. Noodles. Perfect.
Healthy chakna
Yeah. With your drink.
We're starting off with wine.
फासद की खूबी सिर्फ स्वाद के आशिक जान
clearly. Yeah.
I'm steering away from every.
The damn fine life show.
I have couscous for that work.
To do that and then still make a busy day.
Thank you.
पहले को enjoy किया इसने.
The damn fine life.
कहूँ कि बस
बता दो।
सीक्रेट
हम सिर्फ नमक नहीं बताएंगे बाकी सब बता दो
The damn fine life show. The damn fine life show.
Nice trend. Yeah, okay, got it. Ready?
The damn fine life show. 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 The damn fine life show.
Hello people, welcome to my show, The Damn Fine Life Show with Rinku Madan, where we bring to you fascinating conversations, journeys sprinkled with some cooking, with remarkable individuals from all walks of life. We are about to embark on a tantalizing journey today through the savory world of ramen with a culinary prodigy who has been stirring up a storm in the kitchen and capturing hearts. Ladies and gentlemen, put your chopsticks together for our guest today, a young maestro of umami flavors, a connoisseur of noodle perfection, and the mastermind behind Zuru Zuru, where every slurp tells a story. My guest today began her Epicurean adventure with a spoon in one hand and dreams of deliciousness in the other. It's not just about broth and noodles, it's about the culture, the community, and the connection forged over a steaming bowl of comfort. She does not just serve great ramen, but also experiences, memories, and a piece of her heart with every bowl. So get ready to slurp your way through some fun and heartfelt conversations with the visionary behind the bowl and our very own ramen virtuoso, the very cute Navika Kapoor. Please welcome chef owner Zuru Zuru.
Hi.
Welcome. I hope you didn't have a problem locating the studio.
Not at all. It's been simple, easy, and quite fun so far. Looking forward to.
Looking forward to. So, this is your entire misa here. What are we cooking today that looks really interesting?
I think before we get into the hardcore cooking, we should start with some drinks.
Oh,
I-
already? Okay.
Yeah?
Sure.
I got you a syrup that we make in house with pineapple as a mixer that we can, I think, have with gin,
Okay.
which will be like a nice pairing.
Okay.
And I'll be rimming the glasses with togarashi. So let's start with that, I guess.
What more could I ask for? Okay, thank you. Let's start. So, you make these blends in-house, everything?
Yes, it's actually a 7-spice mix that is also available in the market usually. But the difference that you see in a freshly made togarashi that you make in-house from the other world-renowned S&B that is usually available and used everywhere is that the burst of freshness
Okay.
from the orange peels that I used
Can I
is
taste it?
absolutely, please do.
Is it too spicy?
Slightly, but not too much.
And what is this interesting syrup?
So this actually started as something
Yum.
that my dad used to make at home because whenever we used to peel a pineapple, the husk used to go into the dustbin, and he's not a big fan of that. So he started boiling it with water, and that sort of resulted in this really nice kind of light pineapple flavored drink, and it was zero waste. So initially in our menu we had a dish that had pineapple in like one of the toppings. So with all the leftover husk we used to make the syrup, and it was just available on certain occasions, not all the time, since we didn't always have the pineapple, right? To make ours in-house, and the reason why is because you know how in Indian households also you have this whole practice of making your garam masala at home.
Yeah.
And the only reason why you do that is
The freshness.
yeah, and the burst of flavors, and it's not there, it's not as nice if you don't make it fresh.
Correct.
So we make it in house at Zuru Zuru.
And what is this?
Oh, this is pineapple pop. So this actually came by as a zero waste addition to our menu. My dad used to make this whenever we got a lot of pineapple at home, and the husk was left, so he hates throwing things.
Okay.
And he used to boil that with water and then season it with a little bit lemon and sugar, and we used to have it like a very light pineapple drink, sharbat type, whatever.
How nice.
And initially we had one of the toppings in our bowls be pineapple, so we started making it, and over time then the demand grew, so we had to go beyond pineapple waste.
Excellent.
But now this is like a staple, and it's made into a syrup that we
Okay.
also serve as a soda.
Excellent. I can't wait to have this,
Yeah.
Chin. So basically, where are you from, Navika? Tell us something about your background, where you grew up, like.
So I actually am from Delhi NCR, I will say. I in the initial few years I was in Noida. That's where my schooling also was, and it ended in Delhi. I was in CJM when I was graduating from like school. After that, I went on to do my honors in literature for bachelor's, but I think it was right there that I realized that that's not something I want to do. Because before that, I thought I'd like go into psychology. Being a science kid, going into DU, I didn't really, find that right space
Yeah.
to study and explore that subject because I really liked it. And during college, since it was not that, and it was another thing that I also realized I didn't like, I had so much time on my hands finally to not study. And I went out and I started working. I've been working since I was 17. So I've done all kinds of different little things that I could do during college. And I think all of that was mainly to sort of explore and see what I can do with my time and my life other than what I think I want to do. And during that time, I interned for 1 month at Masala Library. I was working as an events coordinator. Then I was hiring people for an
So
events
you were
company.
you were trying to find your ground.
Most definitely, where I absolutely had no idea what I actually wanted to do. So I think that was a blessing in disguise, because I ended that with like my first job was at DSSE. Now it's called the Ideas Lab.
Okay.
So there I was hired as a project coordinator, which by the way I did not know what that post means when I joined. So luckily the team was really great, and they trained me and made me realize my superpower, that was like mostly coordinating and really finding the peace and organization in chaos. So I did that for a bit before I finally decided that maybe I made the wrong call after Masala Library. I should not have given up on trying to figure out things in the kitchen, and I think I need to go back to really
Cooking.
working with my hands. So that's when the whole cooking thing restarted in my life.
Now that you're the owner of such a beautiful restaurant and also a chef, how difficult is it when you study something else and you work on something else completely different?
It is horrible. It is
Unlearning
Yes.
everything you have learned.
It is I can't emphasize enough upon how much learning, unlearning, relearning, and then starting from the beginning to do the same thing over again has to happen for a person switching their field. Because I understood sales, development, marketing. I understood that to a certain point. I thought I would got comfortable there. With this industry, things are just different.
Let's do that. Zuru Zuru.
Zuru Zuru.
What does it mean?
Sudup Sudup. So like you have the
This-
one. Yeah, it is the onomatopoeia for the sound of slurping. So you do. That's the.
Okay, so now that you're answering this question before, how did you like come up with this name?
That's a very interesting story actually. So initially we thought of a lot of things. The earlier brand we were operating with the delivery service, it was called the Hopeless Romantic.
Yeah.
Now the issue here is that it's a mouthful for a restaurant. You don't go, hey, I'm going to the Hopeless Romantic today to have lunch. That's not, it doesn't sound right? So the reason why, so Hiten and I actually, my partner, we had a long chat about this over days, and it had to be cut short into a month because that's the amount of time it took for the restaurant to be ready for us to move from the home setup to there. And you know, we both came up with some names, and we were in this constant, no, this is better, that's better, let's, you know, debate it out and all that. Then I came across this, you know, this onomatopoeia for slurping in Japanese, the zuru zuru, and it just sort of, it felt right.
Like, how would anybody even Google this?
Oh, you have no idea. My Google search is really nothing that I'd like to write home about. It's
No, I mean, this is really very interesting. That how would anyone even think of Googling slurping
onomatopoeia.
onomatopoeia and then come up with this? Very, very good. Yeah.
Thank you. It was actually mostly, I was just writing words that were related to ramen, but translate to Japanese. And hence
This showed up.
Yeah.
Ah, it's a very cute name.
Thank you.
Just like Diona.
So I will need your help
Yeah,
for
sure.
this little game I have for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
And I need you to guess.
Oh, okay.
something.
We're turning the tables. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
So I'm just going to make one of our, you know, really nice cold summer friendly starters.
Okay.
Just chop up some stuff. And in the meanwhile, while I'm doing the prep, I need you to take your time to guess what this is. Let me get you a
So
spoon.
what, you want me to taste it, or you just want me to
Yes.
smell it and just look at it and guess? Oh, okay, taste it. Okay.
Yeah. So you can have your guess without tasting also if you want, like your first guess. But I will need you to.
This is something like a tomato, I think.
So I'm not allowed to give hints at least till like 5 guesses.
By 5 guesses, this man would just get over.
That's okay. That's completely fine. As long as
Okay,
you're
yes.
liking what you're eating.
I don't know. This is something. It's not a tomato because the texture is very meaty.
Yeah.
Though tomato can be meaty, but it's not a tomato.
So I can tell you that this is something that you
Give me a
find
hint.
predominantly in the summer, and it is loved in a lot of different cultures for different reasons, and it may not be a vegetable.
Is this a plum?
It's not a plum.
Okay. In summer, you said. Okay.
Yes.
So it's a fruit. It's a summer fruit.
Yes. We're going on the right direction there.
I don't know what this color. Obviously, is marinated. Okay, I give up.
That was pretty quick. Why don't you? Okay. So can I give you more hints?
Okay, give.
Okay, it's a melon.
This is watermelon.
It is watermelon.
Oh my god! I would have never guessed.
I know, right? And it's really
This-
fun because
It doesn't look like watermelon. It doesn't taste like watermelon.
we usually get that
Amazing, man.
response from most of the people that we make try this. And
So what is the starter you making?
so this is a faux tuna tartar.
Okay.
It's a, you know,
It's a vegetarian version of the
yes,
tuna
of the
tartar?
tuna tartar.
Ah.
And because you know, mostly a lot of people when they go to, so the reason why at Zuru Zuru, you know, we just like generally we don't like to make people feel like आप मछली नहीं खाते, आप non-veg नहीं खाते, तो आप यहाँ पे खाना नहीं खा सकते because Japanese लोग वही खाते हैं.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you know people want to come with their family, they want to go out and have a good time. They don't want to be tutored on what a culture eats and
Correct.
doesn't eat, right? So our whole idea with this has been that we need to be approachable, whether it is somebody who's only eating vegetarian or a certain kind of food or not. It should be something that they can comfortably have.
Wow, man.
So today we are making one faux tuna tartar. We are making a chorizo mazemen and a lychee and coconut hiyashi chuka. Hiyashi chuka is a cold ramen, and that's just something that I think is one of my most original and you know, summer appropriate creations.
Wow.
And
I'm so
I-
hungry. Yes.
Yeah?
Okay, just listening, just hearing about all this menu that you have planned. Okay, good. But how do you feel that what sets Zuru Zuru apart from the others?
Well, I think what we've tried to do, and I think that what remains to be our USP as opposed to other restaurants overall, is that we have always tried to be a lot more approachable to whoever is coming,
Okay.
and we don't want to make it look like it's,
Are you cooking hands-on over there every day?
well, I am on a lot of days, not every day,
Okay.
but our team does a very good job of doing the day-to-day thing while we're not there. However, the whole point is our training also in our restaurant really focuses on making our team aware of the nuances that somebody might be intimidated by. So they need to make it approachable. Like for example, our menu usually does not have any names that are too complicated, other than them being educational. Our team is trained to also always be able to offer any and all kinds of help to whoever is coming for the first time, for them to be able to order whatever they're ordering. Like say for example, Tori Paitan is a thick chicken ramen. I don't want someone to have to figure that out for themselves कि मेरे को ये अच्छा लगेगा. They just go to a person and be like, आपको chicken खाना है, आपको pork खाना है, आपको spicy चाहिए, आपको spicy नहीं चाहिए.
So basically, they just break it down and
Yeah.
make it easier for the
Guide the
person.
journey.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So because initially even when I went to a lot of restaurants to try out ramen and other Japanese things, I felt like just because I don't know the language and I don't have anyone helping me out, it felt like
Yeah.
maybe I think I'm
Maybe
mistaken.
not ordering the right thing.
Yeah, maybe I don't like this cuisine. Maybe
Right.
I'm just not whatever. So
Are you on deliveries even now?
we don't do any deliveries now. Actually, I was so happy getting rid of that from my life that I just never got back to it.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because you can't really control the experience there. In life generally, since I started working, I really loved controlling the experience because that's what we were doing at DSSC also. For the longest time, we were like for all the events, the whole focus was in really making sure that all the details have been paid enough attention to.
Right.
So you're making sure that
So
whoever
ramen is
working
not a
with-
delivery dish.
You can do it.
Essentially.
Yeah, that's what when we were doing it. It was all DIY because आप boil करके noodles भेजते हो तो it's not as good. But if somebody really wants it, we do it still. On request. But we don't like to do it like that.
Okay. But tell us any specific failure or setback that ultimately led to the growth and the learning to where you are today.
Well, failure or setback.
If there were any. If there's not, then okay, you can just skip.
I think there have been a lot of things that have guided our way. One of the biggest things that changed after lockdown was when we started the DIY delivery kit service. That time DIY delivery, all of that was really doing very hot because during COVID nobody's going out, so it's great. But even though I used to still get regular interest from my customers, post COVID it was not as great an offering for people to want to
Invest that kind of time and that effort.
Yeah, people want to go out.
Yeah.
So I think that was a minor setback, and then we started seeing that in our sales and everything also. We actually for a brief period also there tried to raise investment to start our own restaurant because we were, so Hiten and I, even though we were both, both of us started when this, from the home delivery thing, I was still working then. I was working for at least 2 to 3 months into starting that and doing it on the weekends, and it got too hectic. And then I took a stand and then I went, the consulting with that side. I became a consultant to them and did this full time. And Hiten also for the whole time, he joined me about 6-7 months into me doing the home delivery. He was still working the whole time we were doing the home delivery. It was when we started the restaurant that both of us were like, we can't do anything else. We're going to just do this. And concentrate on this. That was because after the COVID thing happened, and then post that the investment chats that we had also made us aware of how people look at this as a product and how they look at this
No,
as a market.
DIY is not something which
No,
Delhiites would do because
we were
it's
actually-
too spoiled for, everybody has help and all that. COVID was a different scenario.
So you're right about that, but for the this thing, we were actually the investment we needed for was a restaurant. So I think
Okay, let's have this and then move on. Okay.
yeah.
You to start with the nori chips?
Yeah. So this is actually spinach and rice papad.
Oh, okay.
We make this in house.
Okay.
These crackers.
So what? This supposed to be used as a spoon?
Yes. So you can just break it up how you want, and you can just like scoop up and have.
Okay.
We actually serve it in a much smaller portion, but I thought we can just nibble and chat. This.
Perfect, healthy chakna
Yeah.
with your drink. Apart from cooking, do you have any other hobbies or interests outside of the kitchen?
Well, I'm really trying to have more hobbies now. Because after 1 year of doing that, I've realized that you can't have a life outside of it unless you have something you're longing for. You know?
What are you doing?
I got 2 fountain pens and 5 inks. So I'm trying to, yeah,
Oh, interesting.
do that.
That's
And,
nice. Is there any special dish or creation that holds, a special kind of significance for you personally?
Yeah, I think
Not necessarily from your menu, just anything.
this one does actually, the one that I'm making right now for you.
What are you making?
So I'm making 2 things. One is the mazamen, which has a chorizo topping. The other is the coconut and lychee hiyashi chuka. Hiyashi chuka translates to cold noodles.
But what is this?
The significance?
Yeah.
So I, for the longest time, have believed that the reason why I like making ramen and I like sort of doing all that is because even despite it being a Japanese dish or whatever, it allows for one to sort of paint their imagination on a canvas. Because the 5 components I was mentioning earlier, those components, even though you have 5 categories and all of that, the best thing about it is that you can do whatever within the 5 categories and you will still have a composite harmonious bowl at the end. And obviously you have to work towards making it harmonious,
Right.
but like you are free to experiment. Like beyond say basics like in the tare you need to have either soy, miso or salt. That sauce that flavors your soup that can be made with animals or whatever else, just that much is the guideline. What I'm putting other than salt doesn't matter. So when you listen to say someone say a coconut and lychee ramen with ice on top, what do you think?
It sounds like a dessert.
I know, right? But it's not.
It's not. Yes, I could guess that.
Yeah. So once you taste, you'll realize that even though it sounds so much like a dessert, it has every single component of
A savory dish.
what I love about summer, and yet savory without being too sweet and like sort of balanced out at the end.
Is it like a main course dish? for
It
you?
is. It is a main course. So usually hiyashi chuka is discounted as a ramen because usually people treat it like it's a what do you call it? Salad. Like how you have macaroni.
Okay.
Salad and all of that, right? So apart from the fact that people really usually treat it like a salad, I felt like there's immense potential, at least for a place like Delhi where you have really rotten summers, for a lot of months, where you have
Yeah,
something.
this sounds very refreshing.
Yeah.
Though I can't imagine the flavors of coconut and lychee being savory, but I'm looking forward to it.
So what makes it savory and really wonderful
Are you
is,
making that one first or are you making the other one first?
I'll make the cold one first.
Okay, done.
And what do you think we should do the mazamen
No.
first?
The way you want to go, however you want to do it. You are the boss today.
Alright.
If you could envision, your ideal future, both personally and professionally, what would it look like?
So I've of late come to realize that I really like to work and I also like to not work. So my ideal future will have me working when I want to, on things I just want to. And the other time I want to be, maybe practicing calligraphy, trying to collect more vinyls. I'm into a lot of, I really like collecting vinyls now since I've water turntables.
So which is the one you've got the latest?
So I got this really nice steel. It's a Kishore Kumar collection of different kinds of songs from different, and just for about 4K. That is an unscratched, unused vinyl of such a good collection, such a long play, such a steal, you know, and that is, I think, especially true because vinyls you need to really have the eye for. It's not like somebody will have it sorted, nicely kept for you to, you know, figure it out. You really have to go through people's collections and at the shops and, you know, really find what you love.
My Nana Ji's house used to have a gramophone, and he had like a huge collection of vinyls.
That's
Huge,
really lovely.
huge. I still remember as children playing those. Yeah, that was fun. But okay, so, and if you could invite any 3 celebrities to dine at Zuru Zuru, who would they be, and why, and what would you serve them?
So I'd primarily like to invite you to first come and try a lot of the
Thank
other experimental things that I have in store for
Thank
you.
you.
Other than that, actually,
What would you serve me and why? So you have 3 guests, three guests who you.
what would I serve you and why?
Yes.
So I have these really nice Tewasaki chicken wings, which are like, you know, off the grill.
Yeah.
And we have a spicy and sweet barbecue kind of sauce going, and it's served with a chili max paste. So now this chili max paste is what the name says, it's chili max.
Okay.
And
okay.
we serve them with these, you know how you get those plastic
Is it
bowls
like
with hot wings?
Mind blasting chili?
No, it's not, but the paste has it. Because I don't want to really upset somebody's stomach before they really know what they're getting into. So you always have the option to amp it up, but I feel like you really appreciate that hit. I think you will really like that.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And the next one?
And apart from that, I think I'll the spicy, soupy tan men that we used to have.
Okay, the one which you just told me about.
This is a mazamen that is
Ah.
with soup, and it is a bold bowl. You know, people can't shake it off.
Like
I
pork bones?
No, bold bowl as in the flavors, they're very intense.
No. So the broth in that is made out of
Pork bones, yes.
Pork bones,
and
yes.
it takes upwards of 12 hours to make it, and I only do it in the winter because it's a very heavy thing and it has a sesame base and all of that.
Okay.
But people just don't want me to take it off the menu only, even though it's really not summer appropriate. People really, I think it's also very in line with Delhi's tastes and their preferences.
Yes.
It's a spicy hit, and there's, you know, a lot of that happening. So, yeah, I'd serve that.
So you make all this lychee syrup and whatever you.
Everything is in house. For the lychee, we use the
It's
juice.
delicious.
Thank you.
So then we use my hand also.
So please, eat as you feel comfortable. Can I mix it up for you a little
It's
bit?
too good. Yeah.
वो ये ठंडा नहीं है अभी, वो ice से ना हो जाएगा.
It's really amazing.
Thank you. I can start prepping your one.
Do you have a guilty pleasure that might surprise people?
Unfortunately, yes.
Which is?
Every time I want to go out to eat, my first thought is 4S for their chicken wonton. It's in Defense Colony. It's this really shady bar. It's been, you know, the place for a lot of really great lawyers and like journalists to go and, you know,
And the best
drink.
wontons?
Best chicken wontons,
Okay.
best kung pao chicken, and best sesame chicken always, without fail.
How would you balance traditional ramen making techniques and innovation to keep your menu, exciting and fresh?
So I think this cold ramen is a good example of that. Apart from that,
Is this like a traditional thing?
absolutely not. None of the stuff I've
But
put
you
in this
use some traditional techniques and you
techniques, and my process are always in line with how a traditional Japanese person would make, say, a tare or whatever.
and you've added the lychee and all to give it a modern twist.
Yeah.
This is
That and just, you know, familiarity.
This
plays
is
a
really
big-
good. This is really good.
Thank you.
And which would be the weirdest ramen combination you've ever experimented with, which has surprisingly worked?
I put patthar ka phool in a tonkatsu, which was a little weird because you know, that is a very strong spice to play around with, but it actually goes very well in a lot of mutton or, you know, heavy meat curries and stuff. So I didn't know if it's gonna work, but people still asked for it back, so I guess it did. That was a little bit of a, you know, stretch.
And is there a secret ingredient that you sneak into your ramen that most people would not expect?
So a lot of people actually don't expect a dish that high on umami to have a lot of fruits.
Yeah.
But fruits are actually very regularly a part of Japanese sauces and tares. So even the cold one you had right now, this has apple in yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And what advice would you give to your younger self, if you know, or to other aspiring chefs out there who are just starting out?
I would say, I think trust your self and trust your parents in sort of, you know, what they worry about for you, because they mostly are really trying to support you through things, and a lot of times, you know, this is not the first choice in terms of industry that any parent has for their kid, because to begin with, you have long hours, you have long you know, days and a never ending work life, and they just don't want to sort of suffer like that. But I feel like this journey that I've sort of taken on after not sort of deciding on that after college would not have been the same if I did not stop when I needed to take the break when my parents told me to, and I did not pay attention to my support system when they asked me, hey man, you're really too deep into your work, how about you just cut it out for a minute and, you know, take some rest. There's overall also a lack of balance in people's lives nowadays, and that more so affects your health a lot, and if you avoid it, if you don't look at it, it's going to grow bigger. So if I were to say anything to my younger self, I would tell myself to chill out a little bit. Just, it's going to work itself out. Like, you don't have to worry about everything.
And any quote or mantra that resonates with you or your passion for cooking?
You know that movie Finding Nemo, the cartoon one? So how Dory says, just keep swimming. I think that really works out.
Yeah, that's a cute one.
Yeah.
Okay. While this is boiling and the last dish is getting out, let's do this one. Your favorite ramen topping?
I think it has to be the chashu, because I mean, as much as that's the very you know, basic answer, it tells you a lot about how much thought is. But topping, we are not talking about noodles. Sorry, I would have gone with noodles, but that's not a top. But chashu, I think it is. Yeah.
And the most underrated ramen ingredient?
Ingredient? It has to be the kansui salt. Man, it makes the most of, you know, amount of difference in yeah. So I think rapid fire is kansui, the alkaline salt.
The tonkotsu or the shoyu?
Shoyu, definitely.
Thin or thick noodles?
That depends on the soup, but I think in general I really appreciate thicker noodles.
Pork belly or tofu? That's a no-brainer, but anyway, we had to see.
Can I be the contrarian? I like tofu. If done well, I like it more than belly, because I'm not much of a fatty pork person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mild or spicy?
Mild.
Soft boiled egg or the bamboo shoots?
The egg, 100%.
Green onions or bean sprouts?
Bean sprouts. We started growing our own.
Corn or seaweed?
Seaweed, not corn.
Tokyo style or Sapporo style?
That's a good question. Sapporo style in the winter, Tokyo style in the summer.
Traditional ceramic bowls or the modern ramen bowls?
I think any bowl is fine as long as the ramen is really tasty.
And you have to pick one.
Traditional style with a lip outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Green tea or sake?
Sake.
Of course. Bonito flakes or sesame seeds?
Bonito flakes, for sure.
Matcha ice cream or mochi?
Mochi.
So we're also going to do some ramen riddles now.
Okay.
You have to guess the answer.
Okay.
I'm a staple in Japanese cuisine, served in a bowl. I'm quite the scene. Broth, noodles, toppings, all in one. Guess my name.
This is ramen, right?
Yes, ramen. I'm made from wheat and water too, and hot broth. I dance and stew, slurped up fast with chopsticks. Hi, what am I? The hooks of
Noodles.
Right. I'm a protein, tender, sweet,
and slow-cooked pork, a savory treat in a bowl of broth. I make my debut. What am I in a ramen stew?
Chashu.
Yes, she's good, man. Next one. I'm an egg, but not like the rest. Soft boiled to perfection. I'm the best. With a golden yolk and white so fine. What am I?
Ajitsuke tamago. That's the ramen egg.
Correct. Very good. She knows her ramen, guys. Go eat it. So quickly, tonkotsu or miso ramen?
Miso ramen.
Miso ramen or shoyu ramen?
Shoyu ramen.
Shoyu ramen or shio ramen?
Shio ramen. I feel like I'm not really being loyal to it.
Shio ramen or sukemen?
Shio ramen.
Shio ramen or spicy Korean ramen?
Definitely Shio ramen. Never spicy Korean ramen for me, I think.
Shio ramen or instant ramen?
Always Shio ramen, yes.
Shio ramen or tamago?
Always Shio ramen, yes.
Shio ramen or chashu?
Always Shio ramen, yes.
Shio ramen or menma?
Always Shio ramen, yes.
Shio ramen or negi?
Well, I guess I can't really stop for spring onions. Spring onions, yes. Negi.
Negi or seaweed?
Negi. Actually, seaweed. Sorry, my bad.
Seaweed or kamaboku?
Seaweed.
Seaweed or butter?
Butter.
Butter or gochujang?
Butter.
Butter or kimchi?
Butter.
Butter or edamame?
Definitely butter.
Butter or sliced avocados?
Definitely butter.
Here we go.
Butter wins it all.
It's such a delicious day, honestly, and we're going to go and try the last dish, which is my favorite one, which Navika has specially made. And it's a wrap for today. Join us next time for another fun cooking, chatting journey with our next guest on the Damn Fine Life show with Rinku Madan. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep reaching for the stars. Thank you, Navika.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for everything. Is so delicious. I mean, I love the cocktails, and I'm going to be back very, very soon for sure.
Thank you. It's been a really lovely afternoon where I actually got to explore a little bit extra of what's happening in my own mind while cooking along with you. Thank you.
So glad. Thank you for coming.